Welcome to the Leadership Purpose with Robin podcast. I'm your host, Robin L. Owens, PhD, and this is where we dive in each week to give advice, tools, and tips for high-achieving women leaders, and we talk about leadership purpose and its importance for you. I am a college professor, and when I am not doing that, I am speaking, writing, coaching, mentoring, and teaching high-achieving women leaders how to find, and not only find, but how to stay in alignment with their leadership purpose so they can make a meaningful difference right there in their career, leadership, or business. Okay, let's dive in. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Leadership Purpose with Dr. Robin podcast. I'm so glad you're here and listening in to the podcast. I really appreciate you, and I'd love to hear from you and just hear what you like about the podcast, what you might want to hear some more of, or what you'd like to hear that you haven't heard yet. Just contact me, message me on any social media channel, pick your favorite one, and you can find me at Robin L. Owens, PhD, at Robin L. Owens, PhD, and let me know what you like about the podcast and what you don't like. No. Don't tell me what you don't like. Just tell me what you like about the podcast and what you want to hear. All right. So today we're talking with Marie Ruggles. Now, let me tell you a little bit about Marie Ruggles. Marie Ruggles, MS, is a clinical nutritionist, certified diabetes educator, and she is known as the Kitchen Pharmacist. I love that, the Kitchen Pharmacist. She started her career in research at Columbia University, where she earned a degree in nutrition and public health. Now she drills down the science into simple action steps to help busy entrepreneurs, high-achieving women leaders, high-achieving people everywhere stay healthy and age gracefully. Her book, Optimize Your Immune System, Create Healthy and Resilience with a Kitchen Pharmacy, is a winner of the 2021 Reader's Favorite Award. It's a gold medal winner of the Nonfiction Book Award and so many other awards. And it reveals the secret sauce for viral protection and aging gracefully. Marie loves helping boomers to stay active by avoiding unnecessary aches and pains. In her telehealth private practice, she specializes in creating personalized nutrition prescriptions for relieving joint discomfort and so much more. Welcome, Marie Ruggles.
Thank you, Robin. I'm so excited to be here. Can't wait to dive in.
Okay, good. Let's just jump right in then. All right. So now I just read your bio, and I'm sure there's so much more to you and your work. So tell us in your own words a little bit about you and then about the work you do.
Okay. So I am a clinical nutritionist and I have my own business and I do a lot of teaching. I always say really the heart of what I do is teaching because I see and I work with a lot of women who are passionate about what they do, wearing a lot of hats and super busy. And they don't always take such good care of themselves. So really my specialty is in drilling down the research into simple action steps. So after you listen to me, generally, you'll have an idea of what to eat at your next meal or snack. I like to keep it simple. And so what happened to me about 22 years ago is I had a virus and I was walking around with post-viral syndrome for many years. And there are millions of people who have this. And so I'm on a mission to make sure that these women take care of themselves and know what to do to prevent most viral infections. And for me, what happened is if you can think about the last time you were sick and you just needed one more day in your pajamas just to kind of feel fully recovered, I was in that day for over 5 years.
Wow.
And I was working, raising a family, and there was no time for a break. And that's when I realized that nutrition was great, but I needed to dig deeper into the research and really understand how the body heals. And that led me to teaching a class called Winter Wellness. And it started out as a winter wellness with essential oils because I'm in the process of becoming a certified aromatherapist, because essential oils, I see them as God's word in plants, that healing begins with creation. And we have so many plants that can help us with everything from respiratory support, immune support, mood management. But then I generalized it to winter wellness in general because I included the nutrition and other lifestyle features. And then I decided this information needs to be made public because I had received so much positive feedback about how effective it is, that you really can take some simple steps to prevent a virus, to protect your immune system. And all of that also helps you to age more gracefully, because your immune system is kind of like an umbrella health policy for your whole body, head to toe. So in addition to making yourself more resilient to viruses, you're also either delaying or preventing the dreaded ABCs of aging, which is arthritis, brain drain, and cancer. So I put all of that into my book, Optimize Your Immune System. And I have decided to focus a lot on these women owning their own businesses right now is really booming. But I know that these women are wearing many hats. They tend to be passionate people, and so they're very interested in learning, sometimes very interested in many things. Bright women have a challenge of having to narrow the field a little because they find so many things interesting, and they don't take care of themselves because these passions often override their self-care. And so that's where I come in. So that's why I wrote the book, and that's why I do podcasts like these and other teachings to help women, to alert them to the fact that you can only be the best in your genius zone if your body is at its best, and your brain is part of your body.
Wow. Wow. I love that. I love that. And it makes so much sense. And just hearing you now, just for a few minutes, the way you broke that down about the immune system being the umbrella. I mean, even that gives us a visual and a way of understanding that I haven't understood before.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really fascinating. So you do this work now, and you say you work with these busy women, primarily entrepreneurs, and I'm sure others too. What would you say you enjoy most about the work? Like, what really lights you up and why?
When I get feedback saying two things: wow, that was so interesting. And I do see there are some baby steps that I can start at my next snack. And then the more long-term feedback of, wow, this works. My joints don't ache anymore. I'm more active, and I haven't been sick in a year. And I used to think it was normal to get sick 2 or 3 times a year. That's what really fuels my passion. Being people being, wow, I'd like to try this. And then after that, saying, I was skeptical, but it actually really works.
Yes, yes. I could imagine. I could imagine, especially if they're seeing that transformation right in front of their own eyes.
Yeah.
Is your work primarily through nutrition that they're having these insights and transformation? I know you mentioned the essential oils. Is it nutrition and essential oils, or is there something else?
Yes, it's nutrition and essential oils. And I, focus on women's top issues, which are sleep, anxiety, immune support, mood support, and achy hips, joints in the knees and the hands. And I do telehealth appointments, and I also do teaching in public spaces, except right now it's all telehealth.
Yes, yes.
So I just, my main message to these women is, you're doing something amazing. And I just want to see you really continue to thrive in that because you have so much to offer. And now is the time for you to take back your power and realize that your personal wellness begins when your feet hit the floor in the morning. Are you going to get outside today? Are you going to see the sunlight? What are you having for breakfast? Are you getting any exercise? Are you getting any socialization? If you can't get out, are you on the phone with somebody? It's so important to stay in contact with your people. So that's primarily how I work. And I've worked in conventional medical care, and I've seen the downward spiral that people enter into when they depend solely on doctors and prescriptions for their wellness. Wellness begins in your house. And I'm actually a big fan of naturopathic doctors because that is the medical continuation of nutrition. So what I speak about is at the preventive level, naturopathic doctors take natural medicine to the next level. Oh. And they use sometimes they use prescriptions, but only when absolutely necessary. But there are so many natural medicines derived from creation that are not only incredibly effective, they don't cause side effects. They don't cause problems. Mm-hmm. If something doesn't work, you try something else, but it's not going to make you wind up in the hospital.
Yes, that makes a lot of sense. I'm really fascinated by this because I know my body is very sensitive to the foods I put into it. And it seems like I'm always trying to get the right balance. And I learned in recent years, when I used to think that I was tired and I needed a nap, it really was that I needed to eat. Even though I wasn't hungry necessarily, but I needed to eat the right foods because I have a regular system of, I get hungry every few hours. And so it looks like I'm always eating because I am always eating. But so I've learned a little bit about how to manage my energy and health through nutrition. So this is why I'm really fascinated by the work you're doing. And I'll have to talk more with you after the interview about it.
It's just great that you figured that out. A lot of us, and I say us, these passionate women, just don't take the time to be in tune to our bodies. So that you were able to figure that out is wonderful. And see how simple it was?
Yes. It's amazing. That's why I'm fascinated. And so is there something else you can share with us out of all you're doing, all of your experience and expertise? Is there one piece of advice you could share with somebody who's listening right now that they could use today? Just one simple thing that they could do today that will help them out in this area.
Yeah. Well, one of my big things is keeping people from getting sick. And two things that people can do is recognize that when you have been exposed to a sick person, there may be a virus that entered your body, even though you're symptom-free, and that's called exposure. And at exposure is really when you should start taking some reinforcements. So that might be, you can find more of these on my website or in the book. Vitamin C, for example, every 2 hours, or elderberry, just according to the directions. And if, because you're so busy, you're in your genius zone, you've ignored this, and you start to feel like you're having something come on, which is often what we do, you're not sick yet. That just means the virus is replicating. You only get sick when a virus reaches mass replication. And then, so at that point, you want to up your routine. And you can use some superfoods like nutritional yeast, or you can up the vitamin C to 500 milligrams every 2 hours, or take a comprehensive immune supplement. So just know that you have 2 opportunities before you actually get sick to bring on reinforcements. They have been researched for 30 years. The information has been out there in the studies. Nobody's talking about it, which is why I wrote about it. and it's very effective. There are people, as we stand here today on the ninth floor of the National Institutes of Health doing research on green tea, mushrooms, vitamin C, elderberry, vitamin D, and so many other superfoods. It's in the literature. So that's what I would say is, take the opportunity to recognize exposure. If you feel something coming on, seriously cut back on your work. I can't tell you how many times I've been like, oh, I have a deadline, or I've got to get to the gym. I don't care how I'm feeling. And every time I have paid for it. So at some point we need to put on a soft stop, let's say, and cut back.
A soft stop.
And that's really a mindset that it's okay to sometimes take a few steps back because you need to take care of yourself.
Yes. And I could relate to a lot of what you're saying. So I'm imagining many of our listeners are relating to what you're saying as well.
Yeah. And as hard as it is to do, I guarantee you that you will be more productive when you return because you've taken care of yourself.
Yeah.
So you really don't lose time because productivity is not always about time. It's about, you're operating at your best.
Yes. And I would say we probably all want to operate at our best. This is so fascinating. Okay. I have like 10,000 questions I want to ask, but I'm going to stay focused. Telling myself to stay focused. All right. So now, as you know, my work has to do with leadership purpose. So when you hear the term leadership purpose, what comes to your mind?
The term that I used earlier, which is operating in your genius zone so that you can have a positive effect on others. Because leadership is only great if it extends to the people that you're serving. So that's it in a nutshell.
Yes. And do you think having this leadership purpose is important? If so, why, or not? Why not?
It's so important because I have seen women doing amazing things and they've embraced their role as a leader. And it doesn't mean you're in a big organization. It can be a very quiet space that you're being effective in. And it matters because you put the word purpose on there. And so it's not only self-serving, but it's extending to a wider community. And, I think of, there's a woman, she has a ministry, Joyce Myers, who I follow. I actually listen to her almost every morning while I'm putting gel in my hair or something, that keeps me in the bathroom longer. And she always talks about how it's so rare for a woman to rise within ministry work. And she embraces that challenge. And she knows she was put on this earth for a purpose. And she is out there and she's spreading the word and she almost embraces the challenge. And I think it's made her stronger and really effective.
Yes. Like I said, I'm really fascinated by this conversation and it's just so much I want to ask you, but I'll save that for another time. But is there something that I haven't asked you that you'd like to talk about before you can tell people where they can get in touch with you? Anything that's a thought that came to your mind or anything, any last words you want to say?
I just, for these passionate women who, are on a path, I do want to say that, that passion in your heart it's usually really good, which is why it's there. And I do want to encourage you to have a mindset where you literally incorporate self-care into your daily schedule. So if you're a list maker, put it on your list. But self-care is, it's like sleep. It's essential. It is, I want you to think of it as an essential piece of your day. Feel free to be flexible with where you fit it in, but do think about it, It might take you, a couple of days or weeks or even months to figure this out, and then it could change after that. But as long as you just start realizing that that's an essential component of you being the best version of you, that mindset will really change the way you feel about your work. Because if we overdo it, we start to resent our work, even though we love it.
Yes.
So I encourage to put a priority on self-care. Doesn't have to be hours. If you don't do it at all, just start tomorrow with 5 minutes.
Yes. 5 minutes of what's an example of something that you would consider to be self-care. And the reason why I ask is because I think sometimes we've heard a lot in the past years about self-care, and oftentimes people associate it with a bubble bath, for example.
Oh, okay.
I'm just saying, so what is an example of something you can do in 5 minutes?
I will share with you what I did before this podcast, because I was like, oh, I have to do this. And I really want to get that done before 4:00. But I said, Marie, it's time to stop. And I went, because I work from home, like many of you, and I literally lied down on my bed. I had this fuzzy vest on my bed, and I just put it over my chest, and I lied down. And I said, you need to show up the best you can for these people who are tuning in. And unless you get your brain in the right place, you're going to be cutting them short. And that's why it's essential, because we're here for service. And so it felt really good. But my thought was, I need to show up in my best state of mind. And so I took 10 minutes to lie down.
Yes. Yes. I appreciate that, because that's something that we can all do and incorporate a short break like that. And so that's a wonderful example of self-care. Well, Marie, I appreciate you and thank you for sharing your wisdom and insights with us today. Where can people be in touch with you if they want to hear more?
You can find me on my website, and that's sort of the portal to all things. It's my name, MarieRuggles, as in Sam, MarieRuggles.com. And right when you land on there, there's a great guide that will pop up on vitamin D, which is so important for mood management and everything else. And you'll also see I have a number of blogs that you can tap into, or you could see where to purchase my book. And if you just want something simple, I have under publications my Whole Foods Quick Start Guide with Tracker. And I created that for busy women because it's all baby steps. So you just start with whichever baby step you're ready to work on, and you do one a week or whatever pace is right for you, and you will literally transform your body in 3 months.
Oh my goodness, I want to rush right over there right now. Okay, all right. So you heard that, everyone, MarieRuggles.com, and we'll put that in the show notes. Marie, thank you so much for being here and sharing your time and your wisdom. I really appreciate you and this important work you're doing. Thank you for being here.
Thank you, Robin. I love what you're doing, and just so appreciate being invited, to speak to your people and to share my information. And, if anybody needs a little bit more, feel free to reach out on my contact form. It's really a blessing to be here. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And thank you, everyone, for listening in. And you can reach me on my website, robinlowens.com, robinlowens.com. And I love to hear from you. Just contact me on social media at Robin L. Owens, PhD, at Robin L. Owens, PhD, and tell me what you'd like to hear on the podcast. All right. Until next time, this is Dr. Robin. Thank you for tuning into this episode of the Leadership Purpose with Robin podcast. If you enjoyed it, head on over and rate and subscribe so you never miss an episode. New episodes drop every week, and I can't wait to hang out with you again soon. Meanwhile, this is Robin signing off. See you next time.